Hello, everybody. As you may or may not be able to tell, I'm in a new location today. I am streaming and recording on the road for the first time in quite some time. So I'm on very much my B setup. Uh, not quite sure how well it's going to work. Hopefully it'll work fine. I am Christian Schiller. Welcome to Hands On With, where I get my hands on developer-ish, developer-centered, developer left of centered, focused tools every week and just see what they're like. This week is one of the kind of related projects, I guess, to development. It's not necessarily a development project. It's a project for tech writers or for those of you who want to create documentation, those who create documentation. And it's one I've been wanting to try for some time, actually. And it's Antora. What is Antora? We'll get to that in a minute. I am Christian Schiller. You can find out more about me at christianschiller.com, where you can find my other streams, podcasts, writing, things like that. And also say hello. Whoever you are watching, please leave a comment. Please tell your friends. Please suggest a project you'd like me to host. There is a chat open wherever you're watching. Please say hi. And before I start again, I will say I'm on my B setup today. It's very much improvised. I am traveling, so hopefully this stream holds up. I've been quite lucky with the internet so far. All right, then, let's get started. All right, Antora. This involves unpacking a couple of things. Yes. Yeah, this involves unpacking a couple of things. Firstly, why might something like Antora be useful? Antora is useful if I remember writing about it, and many people have mentioned it a few times, with something like documenting an application that consists of multiple services, whether those services are in a monorepo or they're microservices, something like that, and you want to pull in sources of documentation from different repositories. That is where Antora is predominantly useful. But there's some other things about it as well. And this is where we need to unpick a few things. It's specific to AsciiDoc. Doc. Now, what is AsciiDoc? Doc? Let's go back a couple of steps here. AsciiDoc, Doc, this website is possibly kind of just a fraction of what is AsciiDoc. Doc. AsciiDoc Doc is a text format for documentation, for notes, for all sorts of things, inspired by Markdown, but builds upon it quite a lot. It's becoming increasingly popular. It's still getting there in terms of support, in terms of community, in terms of awareness. But a lot of people who use it love it. And I keep wanting to have an excuse to use it more. But one of its predominant problems is encouraging other people in your team to use it too. Building on top of AsciiDoc Doc is Ascii Doctor, which in some respects I could probably do an episode about in itself, although I don't know, it's a tool chain. It would be harder to do a video on it, but it adds a tool chain on top of AsciiDoc for converting content to all sorts of output formats, as you can see here, replacing tools like Pandoc and things like that, but also adds a lot more things, gems, and all sorts of things to the process. I mean, I could go into more detail, but I think that maybe I should have done a different show, and that could be Ascii Doctor. Equally very popular. I would actually argue maybe the Ascii Doctor community is more active than the Ascii Doc community, but they're probably pretty much almost the same people. So that's filling in some gaps there. Let's jump to Antora, the actual subject of the show. So Antora.org, sort of very friendly looking website. It is an open source project, but they've actually paid quite a lot of attention to design here. So store documentation in multiple repositories. I already outlined why this might be useful. Workspaces that fit team and content requirements. I mean, this is another reason. It enables different teams to write different documentation in different places, and you can pull it all together. This is another reason to want to do this. Version management properly of documentation as well as other things. Orchestration, playbooks, we'll come to that. Run your playbook using the Antora CLI. This sounds interesting. Don't necessarily know what this means yet, but we'll come back to that later. Multi-channel publishing, open architecture, and all sorts of other things. All right. And it is open source. It kind of gives this impression that it's not, but it is, I think. I don't know. Yeah, seemingly so. Yeah. All right. So there's a lot here. Let's jump right back up to getting started and let's get started. Let's install. Okay. Maybe we'll start with the quick start. Install node, install the Antora. Interesting. Create your first playbook, run and generate a site. Okay, I think our node version is fine. Fine. Okay, we'll start here. I will jump into I'm also on my laptop screen today, not my usual bigger screen. I don't know if that actually has any effect on the output resolution. I don't think so, but it feels to me like I have a lot less space. It shouldn't really make any difference to you out there, but yeah, it feels to me like I have way less space than I normally have, because I do. All right, let's make a doc site. Okay. So it's interesting because I thought Antora and Ascii Doctor were based on Ruby, but this is a Node project, which is interesting. My fan is also going crazy. I hope it's not getting picked up on the microphone too much. Let's just see. Looks okay. I have some noise cancellation going on. All right. Good. I'm actually very lucky to be on internet that's almost as good as at home. But I'm not using a network cable, so we'll see how we go. Antora, check it in the spelling it correctly would be useful. Yep, good. Create a playbook. So produce a documentation site. Antora needs a playbook. Use your preferred text editor or IDE. Create a new file and populate it with the configuration information listed below. Save it as a playbook. Okay. All right. We'll use my text editor of choice. Move that over. Create a file. We should call it Antora. I don't suppose the name matters, but so we have a title for the site, a start page. I'm guessing this refers to, yeah, the project, the repository, the branches we want to use, and a start path, and then a UI bundle. I'm not sure what that means. We'll come to that later. Already this is looking quite useful and quite interesting. I can probably hear a lot of you asking, you know, what if you're not using AsciiDoc? Doc? Let's come back to that later and see about that. Run Antora. Okay. Point the Antora command at your playbook file. Okay. Cloning the repositories. I wonder where the repositories get cloned to. Okay, into a build folder. Okay. Got all the UI generates, the documentation, the output. Oh, no. Oh, no, it is. Yes. Okay. All right. Okay. And then we just need to serve it basically. So what I might do here is I like to use quite often, if it's in the build folder, I quite like using HTTP server. Actually, we should just double check that. Oh no. Okay. Then inside there. Okay. So hopefully this should. Yes, good. So we have, I'm going to just maximize the window a little bit more. Yeah, good. We have component B, welcome, module 1. I think this relate. Oh no, this is okay. So this is it. Okay, all right, good. We have the versions here, version 1 and 2. Good. If we edit the page, I guess it will take us to the repository. All right, must be to sign in, but okay, we'll assume that works. If we wanted to switch components, I don't remember there being, it was only A and B. I don't know why we're seeing C. Let's come back to that later. This could be unrelated. I think it's unrelated, yeah. Okay. So we'll go to home. So how do we get to component A? From the component selector menu at the bottom of the menu on the left hand, down the bottom here, right down here. Okay. And the version, that's nice. Okay, good. So we can even switch directly to the different versions. That's pretty good. Cool. Okay. And responsive. Excellent. Okay, it does not sync the repository once it clones it. Instead, it tries to work offline by using the repository in the cache it previously cloned. Makes sense. Create some confusion. There's not... okay. So you probably want the up-to-date version. Okay, that makes sense. All right, learn more. Let's go to organizing our content. All works pretty well so far. Okay. Antora can retrieve content source files from numerous Git repositories, which means searching for files under a start path or multiple start paths in branches, tags, or the local work tree. Repositories Antora uses don't have to be used exclusively for storing documentation, so you can use like mono repo structure. Relies on convention and configuration. To fetch from multiple and multi-use repositories. So yes, the mono repos, as we said already, can be located in the root, can be labeled with a file in the source repository, I guess, or organized into a standard set of directories. So it's strange that it's a node project because Ascii Doc and Ascii Doctor are Ruby based, which tend to be very opinionated. So is this. Assigns metadata, virtual file system. Okay. I would like to almost try this with a realistic project in a minute. Let's see. All files in the same content, source root, inherit the component name and version. But yeah. Okay. I mean, the problem is if I want to test this, I need an AsciiDoc Doc based project, and the projects I have to test are not AsciiDoc, Doc, so I don't know how it's going to be easy to handle, but okay. I guess we go to the next. I'm not really sure what my next logical step here is. Content source roots, URL, so it doesn't even have to be Git, I guess, although it'd be difficult if it wasn't. Branches or tags, versioning methods, branches, tags, yep. Okay. So I would like to test this with a real site, but the problem is I need something in AsciiDoc. If it can be local, I could do some quick conversions. It might be a bit messy, but it's probably better than nothing. And it can be from a local repository, can't it? I think. Guess so. I'm sure that's what I saw. It could even be a local directory, but I'm just trying to, I guess, URL, content sources. Within a Git, yeah. Oops. I didn't go into Do Not Disturb. Sorry about that. URL, Git references, and start paths. What is a start? Ah, the start paths are what we already talked about. So I think it has to be a remote repository, which is slightly annoying at the moment, just for testing. So yeah, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do next is my main problem. The getting started was very easy, but how do I actually organize a main site? Well, I need to... Let's see. Use local content repositories, okay? All right, that was relatively obvious. So let's go into my project I want to work with. This is in Markdown, so we need to do a bit of a conversion job first. Let's open up make a test branch. This is the problem sometimes when you open up a repository, you just need to get things committed first. There we go. All right. Let's make a test branch for AsciiDoc. Doc. Good. Now we need to run a conversion. I think I can use Pandoc for this. I've never done that before, but let's double check. Yes. Oh, I know this person who wrote this blog post, unsurprisingly, for the subject. And I do believe, oh, so we want to convert more than one. Oh boy. I'm pretty sure this is possible too, but this requires a lot of fiddling around. Oh, recursively. There we go. Fantastic. Thank you, Matthew. Right. And we'll go into where everything is. That's where all our markdown is. There's a lot of Hugo specific stuff here, so it's going to be a little messy, but it's fine for now. Okay, lots of warnings, but should be okay. Let's just quickly have a look. I don't see any changes. That's concerning. I guess I have to change these. All right. This is turning into a whole deeper hands-on than I hoped. Normalization is now automatic, so we can get rid of that. And use, I'm guessing that is the smart. So instead use plus smart or dash smart extension. Okay. No. Oh. What am I getting wrong here? Ah, okay. Ah, I see. It's unknown type, even though it's right. Been a while since I've got into the depths of a pandoc, despite always recommending it to people. No. Okay. I don't know why that doesn't want to work. This is not really that important to the task in hand, so let's just leave it out for now. We do need to get rid of that line. Normalize has been removed. Thought I'd already removed it. Still no changes though. Ah, okay. Okay, my terminal has hung. I don't know if this is good or bad. Something is happening. Maybe. But it actually looks like the find command has hung. I'm starting to think I might have a quicker method, to be perfectly honest with you. So I might just do the one section of the documentation here. Might just take this how, no, let's go for the, I do actually have, I actually maintain a pandoc converter here, but yes, I probably just do it myself very quickly. Maybe I should have done that in the first place. I don't know if these files are going to be very good output, but because there's a lot of custom weird markdown in there as well, but it's better than nothing. And we'll just do it from that folder. And nothing's happening there. I don't know. Yeah, nothing's happening there. Okay, let's just do something. Otherwise, it'll be a pandoc tutorial. Okay. So let's pull in, we need an absolute path. Which is, we can just do that from here. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Absolute path, and then it's quick start. The branch is actually, in this case, this is the branch. Oh, that's okay. And I think for now, for the sake of argument, we'll just get rid of that branch. Although it'll be here a long time. Okay, let's quit that out. Run the playbook again. Sometimes when you think it's quicker to just go up and it isn't. See what happens. Must be a Git repository. Oh, the top level. Oh, okay, right. So we need to do this slightly differently. So this is the repository here. And we need to set a folder. And how was that? I'm sure there was an example of that. The start path. edit URL, sources, branches, start path. That's it. Okay, but that can be relative, I guess. I don't know if we need this pattern here for this particular example. Ah, okay, it needs a YAML file. All right, it's not quite as smart as I would have hoped. So what's that? It needs an Antora.yaml file. Set up content sources, I guess. Yeah, the Antora.yaml file. Component are required. Component version descriptor file. It's a slight shame that you need to do all that, I suppose, but kind of makes sense. I kind of want an example. Strange that there's no actual example. Huh. I'd like to see an example of the file, really. Well, it's the same page. It's the same. I think we can probably find an example in the links back here. Go. So it's pretty straightforward, really. So inside here, name, okay. So this needs to be kind of title. Dev is good. Modules. We don't have any right now, I think. What are these modules? Did see that back up here somewhere. Modules. Modules is required whenever a component version descriptor or wherever it is located. So the documentation needs to be in the modules. This, I mean, it is a static site generator. I don't know why I'm surprised that I have to rearrange structure. I have to do the same in Hugo and things like that. Keeps it separated. Okay, so let's reopen that example. It's nice to look at examples sometimes. Modules. So it's pretty much the same, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. So what we can do in this case is probably just relocate everything. Modules, quick start, something like that. Well, this is root here. It's not, maybe. Is that also necessary? What's this root directory? Two types of module directories, named and the root. Okay. And the root is an optional module directory. Okay. Let's leave it out for now then, I guess. And we'll just copy these into there. Just want to be sure that's in the right place. I've sometimes found this file tree in Visual Studio Code a little bit confusing. Okay, so now I think we have everything we need. We have the folder. We have, yeah. And we'll get rid of that. And we'll just say, oh, so that's the nav. Oh, it's nav. Hang on. Ah, that's something different. Do we need nav? Accepts a list of navigation files. Do we need it? Not sure. Optional. Okay. Let's just get rid of it for now. So does that mean we need anything else? Don't recall that being the error I saw a minute ago. Okay, I must have forgotten what I was doing. Oh, I'm in the wrong. There we go. That's why. No. Oh no, that is correct. Sorry, yes. It's in two different places. Yes. Start page. Oh, component B. Ah, yes, I need to change that file as well. I see. So it should be M3 Quick Start or M3 QS, and it's docker.adoc, I think, or AsciiDoc in this case. All right. Not found. What have we got wrong? I feel like it's a problem with this modules thing I've got wrong, but I'm not quite sure. So the start path should be to the module, or let's see. Sources, content sources. Where did I find this earlier? I have I've got myself a little bit lost here. Content source. So do I need modules or not? I'm still slightly confused by that. Those are the components. It's a playbook. Start path is a folder, which is what we have here. Don't know if that should be just for the sake of argument. Start page is the component B. Which goes into docs. Oh, it has its own YAML. Oh. We've got name is component B. In our case, it's M3QS. That's correct. Version. Nav. quite sure what we've missed here. Cannot find the start page. Is it because of this module? I'm quite confused by these modules, I must admit. Probably shouldn't be, but I am. It's time. Okay. I want to try a few other things and not just get lost in this the entire stream. The start page is component B index.adoc. I think I know what the problem. I think I need to specify the. Oh, no. So there is no. Where's it coming from? Don't really understand what that page is. Component B index.adoc. Inside component B, I don't see an index.adoc anywhere. So where's that coming from? No. It's not specified any of these modules. There's a file there. Okay. Maybe it needs to be in. Maybe it does need to be in root, this root thing. It's not the impression I got from what I read, but let's just do it. Oops. And maybe you need to put the module in instead or something like that. Okay. Still not finding it. Disappointing. Oh, then this is pages thing. Is that also not optional? Modules directory has to have pages, I guess. So it's very opinionated about the organization. Fine. All right. Pages. Okay. I think I'll make this the last check before I. Not found. Still not found. I don't exactly know what I'm doing wrong here. All right, let's just back up a step. I'd like to try some other things, so this isn't just me getting stuck on trying to convert an existing site, which is not necessarily a fair kind of comparison. Let's just get ourselves back to here where we were earlier. Okay, good. And quite what I wanted, but just want to get into the. So we have it served. Okay, let's try a couple of other things then. So there's a lot of things on other kind of features. We already have versioning and the modules and things out of the box, which is quite useful. Versioning is something that not all static site generators do very well, actually. Configuring component versions, creating and managing pages. So I guess this feeds off the AsciiDoc doc really. Title and body content. You can use AsciiDoc to do whatever you like. Antora page IDs and cross-references is actually quite interesting. Not many static site generators actually do that kind of thing. So yeah, this helps you if paths change and things like that, I think. Or yeah, you can reference certain versions, as you can see here, which is actually quite useful. I think keeping tabs on all this could get complicated, but it's quite useful. And there's a specific feature in AsciiDoc that's also part of this. Page IDs, yeah. So the only other static site generator I saw that did something like this was docfx, which is specific sort of C# documentation tool, actually, bizarrely. But they had a lot of this xref functionality as well. To have a look at what else we can do. Ref text and nav title. So the static site generator part is relatively simple, I think, and just leans a lot on the AsciiDoc. aspects, really, which is fair enough. This UI template thing is something I wouldn't mind seeing more of. There's this aspect here we saw of the UI bundle. Is there other things we can do with it? Let's have a look at it. What is it exactly? Oh, it's a download. I don't want to download it. Here we go. That's what we want. So it's okay. Default UI. I'd like to know more about this though. So this is, how do we change it? Source. So it's handlebars. Right, that was kind of what I was after. What's the templating language? Handlebars. Okay. I guess there's more documentation on that. Don't know. I don't see a tremendous amount. I'm wondering if some of this is more of a requirement inside of AsCII Doctor. I don't think so. Let me see. No, this is all processors, extensions, converters. No, this is all other things. Yeah, I wonder if there's a guide to changing the theme. Don't see any. Don't see any instructions. So the UI. Like, how do I find a guide to it? I mean, I could probably figure it out, but UI configuration and set up a UI project, maybe? Oh, it's a different. Ah, it's a different component. There we go. So yeah, somewhat standard once you get into that. Similar sorts of aspects there. Yeah, different styles. So there's some common styles here. Okay, all right, that makes sense then. Okay, so we go back to it's down the bottom. Keep when you look up the top. Now we're back on the UI. Huh, interesting. How do I get back to the docs of where I was, which is called what? Antora. Huh, odd. I must have been in some kind of weird search trail there. Okay. So what other configuration options do we have? Git keys, AsciiDoc keys, UI keys, role keys, runtime keys, author mode, environment variables. Yeah, extending and customize the components. So I wonder, let's see, I'd like to Antora, UI, I don't know what to look for really. Examples? I don't know. Kind of want to see if there's a, well, see, there's a, what do they call it? They call it a UI. I don't really know how to search for that. UIs? There's a fork of one here. Can give it a go. Why not? Just out of interest, just to see how it works. I don't know if it's many different, but we can try. Okay. I'm guessing we'll see a a rebuild there. I don't know. I didn't see anything about the theme changing, but this usually refreshes, but let's just be sure. Yeah. Doesn't look any different. It was just did to say it was a fork. It may not be any different. Oh, okay. Well, that's not encouraging in itself. I'm not sure if that's actually any different. I wonder if there are any other examples, though. I'd kind of like to know if there's any other to see what they look like. It's really hard to know what to search for. How do you search for UIs? Default UI. And I can't really change something because I'd have to fork it to change it, which is a bit fiddly. But I don't know how that works for local development. We could go back to the docs here and just see if I want to make changes to my own UI. How's that going to work? Development workflow. Push to a master branch. So I guess we would have to have it. I guess you can also have it on a in a folder. Let's see. Otherwise, that would be quite fiddly. Now, what was this again? Configure your site UI keys. Let's see. Bundle. File system path. So it can be a file system path. Okay, so that would be okay. You have to keep pushing to branches. All right. Well, I don't know. This was more fiddly to play with than I was hoping. A little bit because I don't really have much AsciiDoc content to play with, and then converting the content to make a more usable example requires quite a lot of restructuring, which is not a problem per se. It's pretty normal. And this is obviously just a playbook. We need to see the individual components. And I guess the argument would be that you wouldn't probably use Antora unless you had multiple components. Maybe it's not really worth it. I'm pretty sure Ascii Doctor can do some of this, but if you have the need for multiple projects, then it's definitely useful. So you have to have this structure basically. Top level, file, modules, root. So yeah, this is, and then the pages inside of there. Still would love to know why I could not get my example to work. Do I need to have that in there as well? That's where I was a little bit lost. I was a bit unsure. Like the quick start was great, but I wasn't really sure what I needed to do for my own site. If I'd started from scratch, maybe that would have been easier. But I found what I was supposed to do a little confusing. But we are coming up to 50 minutes. It's probably a good time to wrap up. I kind of feel a little bit unsatisfied with what I've accomplished. And feel like maybe I haven't represented the project as well as I could have, but maybe you've had some of the same problems, and maybe you're more experienced with Antora. I can say, Chris, you're an idiot. You could have done this or read this page. Please post those in the comments if you do, because I kind of wanted to do more here. Maybe, yeah. I think this is the... Actually, we didn't check. I think everything has to be AsciiDoc. Didn't think to check about that, did I? Let's just very quickly see. Which is not a huge barrier to entry, but it is a barrier to entry. No, you can't use Markdown files. It is a barrier to entry. You do have to rework content if you're not already in AsciiDoc. That said, if the features here work in your favor, it's not a huge problem. And AsciiDoc and Ascii Doctor especially, and Antora by the looks of it, bring other features that you probably have all sorts of weird custom markdown for at the moment. Things like admonitions and other kind of useful documentation features that I know I've added with a plethora of custom code to make that work, whereas they're kind of out the box. So it could be worth that conversion, but that conversion is necessary, which is something to bear in mind. So I would argue that Antora is very useful if you have those very specific requirements. If not, then maybe the conversion process you may need to go through is problematic, but I'm not sure. As I said, anyone who's more knowledgeable than me, please leave comments. If you've enjoyed my slight bumble through this, unfortunately, then please leave a comment, please share, please follow, subscribe, whatever the current text is now on channels. And I have been Christian Schiller. You can find more about me at christianschiller.com. And I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do next week yet, but I'll be back next week, same time as always, 16:30, 4:30 p.m. Central European time, hands-on with another developer-focused or sort of developer-focused project. Until next time, thank you very much.